So let's say that we set about and we're going to get in and we're going to do a reel every day. Now, the challenge then becomes that if you set a goal like that and you don't do it, you stop, you start, and you know that you need to put effort into something, you need to put consistency into something, and you start and then you don't follow through, then you've placed effort for no results whatsoever. And that's a problem.
We get a lot of people will contact us and say, hey, I found this thing that worked for me on Facebook and I did it for a little while and then it stopped working. And so I stopped and I'm just not getting results anymore and I don't know what's going on. Now, one of the things that you need to understand about Facebook is sometimes it's about consistency over perfection. Now, you're going to learn a lot about being really consistent on Facebook, but what I will say is don't wait for perfect. Just get some stuff out there because sometimes you need to throw the mud at the wall to see what sticks. And Facebook and Instagram are constantly changing. So being consistent is really key. And I'm going to use lives as an example here for a moment because back around about 6 years ago when we were really moving into the education space, we knew that Facebook Lives were a really important part of building our business. We also knew that Facebook Lives were being favored. And we knew that in order to reach our ideal customer, we needed to be doing them. But the thing was that I started doing Facebook Lives and people were not jumping on live and watching. Now, I was doing one of these a week. And in fact, I got to a point where I went, all right, I'm going to try and do one a day. And I said, I'll do one a day for 30 days. I set myself this little challenge. What was really interesting was for the first 5 days of the 30 days, not one person showed up live. And I was sitting there going, I'm wasting my time. I should be giving up. But here's what started to happen. By being consistent, Facebook kept pushing my stuff out because it knew that I was playing with a feature that it was favoring, and people slowly, one at a time, started to jump in and watch the lives. Now, what happened was where one came, we slowly got a second, and then we got a third. By the end of the 30 days, I was still sitting at maybe only around about 10 to 15 people if I was lucky, mostly about 10 people live. But interestingly, by staying consistent with it, what we did was we started to attract, because Facebook recognized who those people were that started watching our videos. It would go, okay, so we can see these 10 people. We see what's common about these people. And it began to push our stuff out to more like-minded individuals. Now when we go live, even if we don't prompt people, we'll have 50, 60, 70 people show up live for an impromptu live when we do it. Because Facebook knew who to show these videos to more of, and consistency is such an important part of Facebook. One of the things I learned early on was that when I did impromptu lives where I was in a casual space, so like in my car or something like that, people related to that so much better than if I was doing something super professional where I'd rehearsed it. The other thing that I noticed was certain times of the day were getting me more viewers. So I was paying attention and I was making little key adjustments along the way. What I will say is that this is something that you will always be learning because it's always shifting and changing. And we are constantly learning and shifting and changing for you guys as well because it doesn't stay the same. And while Facebook is always changing, you also need to always be changing. I will also just, as we wrap up the inconsistency part, I do want to just point out one key thing here that's really important to remember. You can work really hard on your social media for a month, for 3 months. You can build your engagement up. You can be posting every day. You can be putting awesome stuff out there. And then you can suddenly have a week where you go on holidays. You got really busy, you get distracted, and you don't put anything up. I don't want to freak you guys out, but this is how important consistency is. In that 1 week, you can undo all of the traction that you created over those 3 months by being really consistent. So this is why it's important to make it part of your regular routine. And if you know that, anything could happen next week, I could get sick, or I could go on leave, or I could get busy. If you know things like that could happen, make sure you schedule it ahead by at least a week so that you're making sure you don't fall into that trap of falling inconsistent because Facebook will penalize you for it.